Though K Flock indicted on federal racketeering and murder charges.
The courtroom fell silent as K Flock was brought in for what many are calling his most emotional and disturbing appearance yet. Fans who packed the room, and thousands more watching updates online, were not prepared for what unfolded next. This wasn't just another routine court date. Something felt different, heavy, final. From the moment K Flock entered, it was clear the weight of everything he was facing had finally caught up to him. Witnesses say his demeanor had completely changed. The confidence, the street bravado, the energy that once defined him was gone. Instead, there was visible tension, exhaustion, and moments that left even hardened supporters shaken. When key details of the case were revisited, the reaction in the room shifted instantly. Whispers turned into gasps, and some fans reportedly broke down in tears. This was no longer about music or fame. It was about consequences. What made this appearance especially dark was the emotional impact it had on everyone involved. Prosecutors laid out arguments that hinted at just how serious the situation has become, while the defense appeared to be fighting an uphill battle. Supporters watching closely noticed K Flock's reactions. Head lowered, long pauses, and moments that suggested the reality of a possible long sentence was finally sinking in. Outside the courthouse, emotions spilled over. Fans, family members, and onlookers gathered, many visibly upset. Social media erupted within minutes, with clips, reactions, and emotional posts flooding timelines. Longtime supporters shared messages of heartbreak, saying it felt like watching a young star's entire future slip away in real time. Others debated whether this moment marked the end of an era for Bronx drill. This court appearance didn't just move the case forward, it changed the narrative. It forced fans to confront the harsh truth behind the headlines and made people ask uncomfortable questions about talent, choices, and the price of the streets. For many, this was a moment the story stopped feeling distant and became painfully real. In this breakdown, we're going to walk through what happened inside that courtroom, why this appearance hit so hard, and how fans are reacting to what may be one of the most defining moments of K Flock's life. K Flock's final court appearance was never going to be ordinary, but no one inside that courtroom was prepared for how heavy, emotional, and unsettling it would become. From the moment he was brought in, the atmosphere shifted, the noise faded, the whispers stopped, and every eye locked onto a young man who once symbolized raw New York drill energy, now standing at the center of a life-altering legal battle. This wasn't the confident rapper seen in viral clips or music videos.
I thought this was purely about the shooting. We saw the video. It's like we see the video of K Flock walking by that kind of identified him.
This was someone facing the full weight of the justice system, with consequences that could define the rest of his life. As he entered the courtroom, supporters filled the benches, many of them visibly shaken. Some wore hoodies with his name on them. Others clutched phones, hoping to capture one last glimpse. The reality was impossible to ignore. This could be the last time many fans would ever see K Flock in person outside of prison walls. His expression told a story of exhaustion, tension, and acceptance all at once. Gone was the bravado. What remained was silence and stillness, the kind that only comes when the future feels locked in place. The prosecution wasted no time laying out the gravity of the case. They revisited the events that led to his arrest, emphasizing how his rise in the music world coincided with increasing legal scrutiny. To them, this wasn't just about one incident. It was about a pattern they claimed showed recklessness and disregard for the law. Each word felt deliberate, heavy, almost surgical, cutting deeper as the minutes passed. Every mention of evidence caused murmurs in the courtroom, quickly shut down by the judge's gavel. K Flock sat motionless as arguments flew back and forth. At moments, he glanced toward his legal team, nodding slightly, as if grounding himself. At other times, his eyes drifted toward the gallery, where family members struggled to hold back tears. His mother's presence was especially powerful. Watching her sit there, hands clenched, eyes fixed on her son, was enough to break even the strongest composure in the room. For many fans, that image alone turned the hearing into something far more personal than headlines could ever capture. The defense pushed back, reminding the court of K Flock's age, his background, and the environment he grew up in. They argued that his music success came fast, without guidance or protection, and that the system often fails young men before they ever get a real chance to change course. They didn't deny the seriousness of the charges, but they pleaded for perspective, urging the court to see him as more than a case number or viral name. It was a moment that shifted the energy again, forcing everyone to confront the uncomfortable line between accountability and circumstance. As proceedings continued, tension escalated. The judge's tone grew firmer, signaling how close things were getting to a final decision. Each pause felt longer than the last. Fans held their breath, some quietly praying, others wiping tears. Social media, though not visible inside the courtroom, was already exploding outside, with supporters reacting in real time, spreading clips, updates, and emotional messages. The divide between K-Flock the artist and K-Flock the defendant was collapsing into one painful reality. When K-Flock was finally given the chance to speak, the room froze. His voice was calm but strained, carrying the weight of someone who knows the stakes. He didn't perform, didn't posture, didn't blame. Instead, he spoke about regret, pressure, and the feeling of being trapped by expectations from all sides. It wasn't a long statement, but it was enough to leave the room silent. For many fans, this was the moment that shattered the illusion of invincibility surrounding drill culture. As the hearing wrapped up, there was no dramatic outburst, no sudden twist, just a deep, lingering sadness. K-Flock was escorted out the same way he came in, but everything felt different. Fans slowly stood, some openly crying, others staring blankly ahead. This wasn't just the end of a court appearance. It felt like the closing of a chapter that once carried so much promise. Outside the courthouse, supporters gathered, emotions spilling over. Some expressed anger, others heartbreak, but most shared the same feeling. This moment would never be forgotten. K-Flock's final court appearance wasn't dark because of chaos. It was dark because it forced everyone watching to confront how fast dreams can collapse and how unforgiving reality can be when the music stops. The tension in the courtroom was palpable as K-Flock faced what would become one of the most pivotal moments in his legal saga. Fans and supporters had gathered outside, their emotions ranging from anxiety to outright despair, reflecting the high stakes of the day. Inside the court, the atmosphere was equally intense. Attorneys for both the defense and prosecution presented their arguments with precision, each aware that the outcome of this session could determine the trajectory of K-Flock's life for decades. Observers noted that the emotional weight on K-Flock was evident. The young artist's demeanor fluctuated between composed focus and moments of visible strain, highlighting the human toll of facing the possibility of extended imprisonment. Legal experts explained that this appearance was not merely procedural. Significant evidence and witness testimonies were reviewed, and the court was tasked with evaluating both the credibility and the implications of the materials presented. Prosecutors emphasized the seriousness of the charges and the potential for lengthy sentences if the alleged activities were proven beyond a reasonable doubt. Meanwhile, the defense worked tirelessly to contextualize the circumstances, attempting to mitigate the severity of potential penalties and protect K-Flock's future. Each statement, objection, and procedural maneuver was scrutinized by all parties, reflecting the intensity of high-profile criminal proceedings and the unique challenges faced by young artists entangled in legal battles. Outside the courtroom, fans shared their reactions in real time, with social media platforms lighting up with commentary, speculation, and heartfelt support for K-Flock. Many expressed shock at developments during the hearing, particularly at moments that appeared to take a dark turn. Videos circulating online captured snippets of proceedings, while supporters reacted with tears, frustration, and calls for justice. The emotional resonance of the case extends beyond the courtroom, illustrating the deep connection between K-Flock and his audience, and highlighting the broader impact of legal issues on fan communities invested in his personal and professional journey. Reports indicate that certain testimonies introduced during the session were unexpected, adding a layer of complexity to the proceedings. Witness accounts and evidence raised challenging questions for the defense to address, including potential implications for sentencing. The defense's response emphasized context, intent, and mitigating circumstances, but the introduction of new information undeniably shifted the dynamic of the hearing. Legal analysts suggest that such developments can create ripple effects, influencing subsequent court appearances, plea negotiations, and strategic decisions by both parties. These moments underscore the unpredictability and high stakes inherent in legal battles involving serious charges. For K. Flock, the personal ramifications of the day were profound. Family members, friends, and close associates observed the proceedings with concern, acutely aware of the potential consequences. Attorneys noted that maintaining composure and clarity during such an emotionally charged session is critical, both for legal strategy and personal well-being. The young artist's ability to navigate the intensity of the hearing while absorbing new information and responding appropriately demonstrated resilience, but also highlighted the immense pressure faced by those involved in high-profile legal cases. The media's coverage of the session amplified the emotional gravity of the proceedings. News outlets and social media commentators dissected key moments, analyzing the legal strategies employed and speculating about potential outcomes. While some coverage focused on procedural details, much of the attention centered on the human aspect, K. Flock's reactions, the impact on fans, and the emotional weight of facing serious criminal charges. The combination of legal complexity and public attention created a scenario where every gesture, statement, and expression was scrutinized, magnifying the tension both inside and outside the courtroom. Analysts also noted the broader cultural implications. The case serves as a stark reminder of the intersection between street culture, fame, and the criminal justice system. Young artists like K. Flock, who have risen rapidly to prominence, must navigate a delicate balance between artistic expression, public persona, and personal safety. Legal entanglements of this magnitude not only threaten career trajectories but also resonate deeply with fan communities, creating a collective sense of urgency and emotional investment that extends far beyond the courtroom. Ultimately, the day concluded with more questions than answers for many observers. While procedural outcomes were determined, the larger implications for K. Flock's legal journey remain uncertain. Fans left the courthouse visibly emotional, reflecting both concern for his immediate circumstances and anxiety about the potential long-term consequences. Legal experts emphasize that while the hearing was a critical juncture, subsequent sessions, negotiations, and decisions will continue to shape the outcome of the case. The gravity of the moment underscores a reality familiar to young artists navigating the complexities of fame and legal scrutiny. The combination of high-profile attention, serious charges, and emotional stakes creates a pressure cooker environment that tests resilience, strategic thinking, and personal fortitude. For K. Flock and his supporters, this hearing represents not just a procedural milestone but a deeply emotional and transformative moment in an ongoing journey that will continue to captivate fans, industry insiders, and the public alike. The courtroom was tense as proceedings continued, and the atmosphere grew increasingly charged as testimony and evidence were presented. K. Flock's legal team worked meticulously, challenging specific points raised by the prosecution while attempting to provide context for his actions. Every detail mattered, from witness credibility to procedural accuracy, as the stakes could not have been higher. Observers noted that K. Flock, despite the weight of the situation, remained composed at times, though moments of visible stress surfaced when particularly intense or revealing testimony was introduced. The human element of the case, an artist facing the potential consequences of serious charges, was evident, leaving both legal professionals and fans acutely aware of the gravity of the moment. Witnesses took the stand, and some of the accounts delivered during the session were highly charged, shedding light on aspects of the case that had previously remained under wraps. These testimonies added complexity, requiring the defense to navigate the fine line between mitigating potential implications and protecting the integrity of their client's position. Attorneys for the prosecution emphasized the severity of the charges, presenting evidence and accounts in a structured and strategic manner to demonstrate patterns of behavior and potential risk. Each statement was carefully scrutinized, with objections and counterpoints raised throughout the session to ensure accuracy and fairness. The emotional stakes were mirrored outside the courtroom, where fans gathered, sharing updates and reactions on social media. The intensity of the proceedings was palpable, with video clips and commentary circulating rapidly, fueling real-time discussions about the direction of the case. Supporters expressed visible distress, while some detractors seized the opportunity to question Flock's decisions and past actions. This online amplification created a feedback loop, with every courtroom development immediately dissected and debated by a global audience. The combination of legal complexity and public scrutiny made it clear that this hearing was more than a procedural matter. It had become a cultural event with widespread attention. Inside the court, the defense team faced the challenge of addressing new evidence and testimonies that carried significant implications. Strategic questioning, presentation of contextual information, and appeals to credibility were employed to ensure that the full narrative was considered. Legal analysts noted that in high-profile cases such as this, the ability to maintain composure under pressure and respond thoughtfully to unexpected developments is critical. Flock's reactions were closely observed, both by legal professionals assessing demeanor and by fans who projected their hopes and fears onto every gesture and word. Prosecutors underscored the seriousness of the charges, presenting detailed accounts and corroborating evidence to support their case. They argued that patterns revealed in testimonies and documentation indicated potential violations that could warrant substantial sentencing. In contrast, the defense highlighted mitigating factors, emphasizing youth, background, and intent, while also questioning the credibility and reliability of certain accounts. The dynamic interplay of argument and counter-argument created a courtroom environment that was both intense and meticulous, reflecting the high stakes and complexity of legal battles faced by young artists entangled in criminal proceedings. Media coverage intensified the pressure, with news outlets and social media commentators providing continuous updates. Analysts examined every detail, from courtroom gestures to procedural developments, while fans engaged in extensive debate online. The visibility of the case ensured that public perception became as influential as legal arguments, making strategic communication and messaging critical for both sides. For Flock, the scrutiny added a layer of psychological pressure, highlighting the intersection between fame, legal risk, and audience investment. The courtroom drama also underscored broader societal issues, including the challenges faced by young artists navigating fame, street influence, and legal accountability. Legal experts emphasize that cases like this illuminate systemic pressures, the high stakes of public visibility, and the complex interplay between artistic expression and personal choices. The emotional intensity of the session, heightened by fan reactions, media coverage, and witness testimonies, provided a lens into how personal decisions and external scrutiny collide in real time. By the end of the day, the atmosphere was charged with uncertainty. While procedural milestones had been achieved, the implications of new testimonies and evidence left many questioning the outcome of the case. Fans and supporters departed with heavy hearts, visibly affected by the developments, while legal analysts continued to dissect every angle, predicting potential ramifications for sentencing, public perception, and career trajectories. For Flock, this day marked not just another hearing but a profound and defining moment in his legal journey, one that would continue to resonate emotionally and professionally in the weeks and months to come. The unfolding events highlight the human dimension of the legal process. Beyond the statutes, evidence, and procedural rules, there is the lived experience of an individual confronting the consequences of actions and choices. Flock's journey through this hearing demonstrated both resilience and vulnerability, underscoring the emotional and psychological complexity of navigating high-stakes legal proceedings under public scrutiny. As the case progresses, the world watches closely, balancing empathy, judgment, and the desire for justice in equal measure. The courtroom atmosphere grew increasingly tense as the hearing progressed, and what had already been an emotionally charged session took a noticeably darker turn. Flock's legal team was confronted with testimony and evidence that carried heavy implications, forcing quick strategic adjustments and recalibration of their defense approach. Witnesses presented accounts that highlighted complex associations and alleged activities, leaving the young artist visibly affected at moments. The defense worked meticulously to address these developments, emphasizing context, intent, and mitigating circumstances, but the weight of the proceedings was unmistakable. Observers described an intensity in the room rarely seen in cases involving artists of this stature, where every word and gesture carried significant weight, both legally and publicly. Fans gathered outside the courthouse were visibly distressed. Many moved to tears as news filtered out about the developments inside. Social media erupted with reactions, with snippets of testimony, analyses, and speculation spreading rapidly across platforms. The emotional investment of K-Flock supporters was palpable. Videos circulated showing fans expressing despair, anxiety, and disbelief. The combination of illegal drama and public attention amplified the tension, turning the case into not only a courtroom battle but a cultural moment. Every new piece of information, every legal argument, and every facial expression became fodder for widespread discussion and debate. Inside the courtroom, the defense faced a crucial challenge, countering the more damaging testimonies while preserving credibility and composure. Attorneys questioned witness reliability, scrutinized procedural details, and contextualized the circumstances surrounding the alleged events. The pressure to perform under the scrutiny of judges, prosecutors, and a watching public cannot be overstated. K-Flock's reactions were closely observed, both by his legal team and by media analysts, as any sign of distress or inconsistency could have implications for how the court perceives his credibility and demeanor. The young artist's ability to maintain focus in this high-pressure environment was both a testament to his resilience and a reflection of the immense psychological toll he faced. Prosecutors continued to emphasize the seriousness of the allegations, presenting corroborating evidence designed to illustrate patterns of conduct and potential risks. They highlighted connections, timelines, and accounts that suggested a broader context to the charges, which the defense had to navigate carefully. Each objection, clarification, and argument introduced a layer of complexity, creating an environment of constant analysis and recalibration. Legal experts noted that sessions like this can pivot the trajectory of a case, as new testimonies often shape future strategies, plea discussions, and public perception. The darker turn of the courtroom proceedings had immediate ripple effects outside. Fans continued to share updates online, reacting with shock and heartbreak as more details emerged. Social media feeds were flooded with emotional commentary, memes, and discussions about fairness, justice, and the potential outcomes of the case. Many expressed frustration and sadness, viewing the developments as a turning point that could dramatically alter K-Flock's life. Others debated the broader implications for young artists navigating fame and legal accountability, highlighting systemic pressures and the vulnerability of public figures to scrutiny and consequence. The media amplified every development, dissecting both legal maneuvers and emotional responses. Analysts highlighted how the combination of evidence and testimony intensified the pressure on the defense, while journalists contextualized the proceedings for a wider audience, explaining the potential ramifications of each statement. This coverage not only informed fans but also shaped public perception, demonstrating the interplay between courtroom events and cultural discourse. In cases like these, reputation management and strategic communication are as critical as the legal strategy itself. Legal observers emphasized the high stakes involved. The introduction of new testimony and evidence could influence sentencing outcomes, potential plea negotiations, and long-term legal consequences. Every argument and counter-argument had to be measured, as missteps could carry significant ramifications. The pressure on K-Flock was compounded by the knowledge that public attention was unrelenting. Every facial expression, pause, or emotional reaction would be scrutinized by fans, commentators, and the media alike. The emotional intensity of the session highlighted the human dimension of legal proceedings, showing that beyond the statutes, evidence, and formal procedures, there's the profound impact on the individuals involved. K-Flock's experience underscored the challenges faced by young artists navigating fame, street influence, and the judicial system simultaneously. His supporters' emotional reactions, coupled with a high-pressure environment inside the courtroom, demonstrated just how interconnected legal outcomes and public perception have become in cases involving high-profile figures. By the conclusion of the session, it was clear that the hearing marked a significant turning point. The combination of challenging testimonies, compelling evidence, and the emotional weight of the situation had shifted the atmosphere dramatically. Fans left visibly affected, while legal analysts continued to evaluate the implications for future proceedings, potential sentences, and broader career consequences. The case serves as a reminder that high-profile legal battles extend beyond the courtroom, impacting fans, communities, and the cultural landscape in profound ways. The final moments of Flock's court appearance brought an intensity that few attendees or observers had anticipated. As the hearing progressed, the emotional and legal pressure converged, creating an atmosphere that was almost unbearable to witness. Testimonies that had previously seemed manageable took on a sharper edge, and evidence presented by the prosecution highlighted the potential severity of consequences awaiting the young artist. Flock's demeanor reflected the gravity of the moment. A mixture of resolve, anxiety, and exhaustion was apparent in his expressions, illustrating the human cost of navigating high-stakes legal proceedings while under public scrutiny. Attorneys on both sides were acutely aware of the significance of every action and statement in the room. The defense focused on framing context, challenging credibility, and emphasizing mitigating circumstances, while the prosecution stressed patterns of behavior and the potential risks associated with the alleged activities. Every objection, every clarification, and every argument introduced a new layer of complexity, forcing rapid mental recalibration by the legal teams and creating tension that was almost palpable to everyone present. Observers described an air of intensity, noting that the hearing had reached a critical juncture where even minor procedural missteps could carry outsized consequences. Outside the courthouse, fans reacted to the unfolding developments with overwhelming emotion. Social media feeds were flooded with updates, reactions, and commentary, often accompanied by tears, frustration, and heartfelt messages of support. Many fans had gathered in person, some visibly shaken as they processed the potential outcomes of the hearing. Online, the story went viral almost instantly, with clips of key moments, reactions from legal analysts, and discussions about the implications of the evidence dominating trending topics. The emotional resonance of the case was undeniable. Supporters felt personally invested, reflecting the deep connection between the young artist and his audience. The introduction of sensitive testimony and corroborating evidence during the session intensified the scrutiny on Flock and his legal team. Witness accounts painted a detailed picture, prompting the defense to respond with strategic questions, contextual clarifications, and appeals to fairness. Legal experts noted that these moments could shape both the perception of credibility in court and the trajectory of sentencing. The young artist's ability to remain focused and composed, despite the mounting emotional and psychological pressure, demonstrated resilience, but also highlighted the profound stress inherent in facing such significant charges. The media's coverage amplified the tension, with every development reported and analyzed in real time. Journalists, music commentators, and social media influencers dissected courtroom moments, often interpreting them in ways that fueled debate and speculation. Fans were quick to share opinions, memes, and analysis, turning the proceedings into a cultural phenomenon that extended far beyond the legal parameters. The combination of high-profile attention and serious charges created an environment where public perception,